back to Milton Mo Junction. I've done a little bit more on the scenery that I was talking about or working on last time. As you can see, I've put some figures over there on the pathway. They're actually 00 figures, gauge figures, because I think they fit in quite well with the distance, and I'm just playing around a bit with a bench and some figures on it, but I haven't made my mind up completely. I've put my collection of 00 gauge cars there. For the moment they still need weathering. I've worked a little bit more along on the scenery side along this edge, and as you can see, so far I've ballasted a bit more track along here till about halfway along, and that's now ready to do the scenery behind it. I've decided this is the side I'm going to do next, so I'm going to plod on this and see how we get on. I'm gradually working on it. I've wired up the last two bits of electric wiring I needed on those two sidings. I've put the sidings in the final position, and as a result I've had to extend a little bit of the scenery because it was getting a bit too close to the edge, and the last thing I wanted was a very expensive engine to fall off onto the floor. So I've extended that there. I've just this minute finished it, so that will all be part of the scenery. I can extend that fence a little bit longer, but I might sort of get rid of it fairly quickly, if you know what I mean. I might actually sort of drag it off to the edge so it's not in the way too much for uncoupling and everything else I want to get to on here. I haven't 100% decided on that yet, but I'll plod on with this. I'll probably start with the greenery. I've laid some bits out. They're not glued or anything where I want them to go or thinking of putting them, and I've put some raised bits of foam. Again, same problem over I had at the back, was the back scene is a little bit raised in places, so I've either had to put some of the foam to stop the gap underneath, and paint the white strip just to take the shine of white away. So I'll plod on with this and come back when I've done a bit more. Yeah, continuing on, I've done a little bit more around. Incredible the amount of this woodland scenics I'm using. So that's it. I'll continue what I'm going to do next, which is possibly ballast in a bit of these tracks. So I'll show you in a minute, or in a while rather. Okay, continuing on from the last video, I've done a little bit more. As you can see, I've done the foliage along here, this bit here, and at the end of the buffers. The buffers themselves still want weathering, and between the tracks that wants some work done on it. You'll see also that I've made a little path along here. It's sort of an overgrown path, but it'll be what the workers use to uncouple the wagons or to walk back from a diesel back to a building that I'm going to have behind the camera somewhere. I've still got this area here to put some scenery in, another little pathway, something similar to what I've done here between the tracks. It's really just so that these are sidings, and it's going to be that it's just little walkways that the crew or the workers, the railwaymen, will walk along. I'm not sure whether it's prototypical, but I like the look of it myself, so that's good enough for me. What I did find though is I'm a bit, well, I've already known that, I'm a bit impatient to get things finished, and you can't really do that with this, because the glue seems to take so long to dry that I try to get on with another job, and the ballast doesn't really mix with the foliage and vice versa. so I'm not leaving it long enough to dry. So what I've got to do is start two different areas, but in the meantime what I've done is I'm going to put a raised area just about where you can see, just between the three siding tracks and the main line going round, or the main track going round, if you like. I could have just cut a bit of polystyrene and shaped it all and put it where those raised bits are, but they're in fact a bit of a mess at the moment, I know, but they're some old hillside bits that I had from my old layout. They're just laying around, so I thought I'd get them used up. I've just pinned them down at the moment, but once I've joined them up with some more foliage and covered up all the little white bits, etc., hopefully that'll look quite good. But we shall see. As I said before, I need to start sort of getting on with some more work, perhaps up the other end. So what I might do is work along the back track with some more ballast, and then perhaps have a little sort out around what I'm going to do here. Haven't really decided yet, but if I get ballast in the tracks and underneath, then perhaps I'll come up with some ideas. But I'll show you when I've done a little bit more work and come back to you at that stage. So see you in a minute. Well, clearly, as you can see, I went against my own advice and carried on up this end. Caused myself a few more problems as I predicted, but you can see I've joined the two humps together, and I'm going to do a little bit more at the back there, because that's definitely all dry. That's been there for a while, the ballast at the back, but I've also ballast a bit more on the tracks going up there, as you can see, and I've done a bit of work on the middle here, and don't think I can do too much more on these bits here now, because the track's still a bit wet. So I'll probably just do, at this end, I'll do the bit behind the hillside and then decide what to do from there. So speak to you again in a minute. I've done a little bit more. As you can see, I've joined up all those hillsides that were there, and I've continued it along a little bit further. It's now a lot lower at that end, which is the whole idea. I want to be able to see across while I'm sitting down. So a sitting down view would be more like this. So yeah, it's still drying obviously at the moment. It's still got lots of glue on it, so it will dry a little bit. Not sure whether it dries darker or lighter, to be honest, but it dries slightly different colour. So I should continue that along to the end, but I've got another problem again. I'm running out of materials, so can't do that much more foliage on this video. I might continue the ballasting along a bit, but we'll see how I get on. I'll come back shortly. Well, welcome back. I've done a little bit more work. I can't remember, to be honest, what I've done and what I've already done, what I've done new and what I've already shown you. I think I've filled in a bit more foliage and grass and mud between the two tracks there. I've done a bit more ballasting along the back, and I'm in the middle of trying to put static grass along the back to match the back scene at that point. Having a little bit of trouble because the static grass doesn't seem to want to stand up. I think it's getting earthed on the plastic at the back and or the rail, I'm not sure. And because it's such a narrow area, I can't get the machine really right above it because of the back scene is in the way. But so I'm trying to sort of make a bit of a mock-up of static grass at the moment, so I'm just plodding on with that. But I probably won't get time to do too much more on this video because I'm away for a couple of weeks at the weekend and won't get any more done then. Plus I need some more woodland scenics. So scenery, woodland scenics scenery. I'm running out of that for a lot of the places, so I'll probably leave it at that. So here we go. I'll just show you what I've done, or what I'm thinking of rather. I'm thinking of continuing this along in the middle, this sort of wider bit here. It's probably not prototypical, I'm not sure, but I'm trying to sort of show sidings which are used but not heavily used, so there'll be a bit of changing of wagons in the back too. And this forward one is actually a head shunt for, I'll show you without turning the camera too fast, the two outer lines here, which are going to be a coal yard. So the idea is that the train comes into this head shunt and then backs up the wagons into the coal yard. Be a chance to do a bit of shunting, but I need to think what I'm going to do up there. As I mentioned before, where that brush is in the middle of the track, I need to put something fairly high to try and cover up the trains going through the entrance or the back scene there. So I want something high, perhaps trees, a high ground, a building even. So we've already discussed this, so it's going to be a bit of trial and error. What else? Obviously the backs, between the track and the back scene, I need to finish off that and continue round behind the opening. But as I said before, that's going to take time, and I'll show that as part of the next video as I do that. I'm thinking of, as I say, continuing this just rough ground with perhaps at the track, so that the railwaymen can get across and work on some of the wagons if they need to uncouple. And the same here, you can see pretty close up here that I've made a track along, and bearing in mind it's O gauge, even the bushes are not, and the greenery is not really that high, it's only just knee high at the most, so it wouldn't bother someone having to work on the wagons or uncouple the wagons or walk back from the engine. So I'm thinking of putting a hut or something here for them to work from, or even perhaps a signal box, a small signal box. I know the points would probably be manually changed with levers in a situation like this, certainly the ones in the sidings, etc. But of course the points have come fixed with point motors on the side, so I can't really have levers on them, so I might just put a small signal box here and have some trunking going to the signals, make it a little bit more interesting. May not be prototypical, but in my mind it will look quite nice. So that's what I might well do. And just to show something else that I've been up to, I've put in a shelf on the back there underneath the layout, small shelf. I mean, I can actually lift it off if I want to get to the point that's underneath there, point motor, but that's to keep tools on while I work on the table. The table obviously can be pulled out while I work on it, and I've fitted some LED lights underneath it, so that's something else I've been doing the last few days. Right, I think that's about it for now, and I'll publish this video and leave it at that, and continue on this side when I'm ready. Probably in a couple of weeks' time I'll continue. So thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, please feel free to leave them, and subscribe if you wish. But that's it for now, so bye for now.